Welcome to the Temple of Flame. On today, Faithful Acolytes, we take a look at this. And what this is from Laurel Urban Farms, it is the Pink Panther hot sauce. Unique flavor, sneaky heat. I don't quite know what to make of this graphic. It's interesting. We're kind of at the point now where, you know, you see something like this and you're like, oh, that's really cool looking. And then in that same breath, you know, you have to wonder if there's also some AI interaction on this. I don't know if there is. I would hope not. But, so Laurel Urban Farms. So they're calling it Pink Panther because of the colors of the pods, which didn't obviously make it into the sauce. This is I guess sort of a light brown sort of color. Sure, we'll shake it up. And we've got here vinegar, Buena Malata peppers. Those are an offshoot of cayenne. I don't think I've had those in a sauce before. Sweet purple heirloom peppers are, I believe, in that same sort of track. They're really, really cool looking peppers. And actually they had, I think it was on the website for Laurel Urban. They had some pictures of the mash as it was being processed. It looked super, super neat. Also, we have salt, garlic, and sugar. And MS, I guess that's Mississippi, maybe? Right? That's Mississippi? Yeah, Mississippi. So I don't have a lot of hot sauces from Mississippi either, hailing from there. So we definitely have kind of a lot of cool things going on at once here. You can see it is a super loose sauce. And very pale. There's lots of pepper bits in there, of course. This I guess I would characterize as closest to a Cajun sauce. But it has some really interesting dynamics to it. It definitely, Cajun and Louisiana style can obviously have much more forceful pepper flavor aspects to them than do this. This is really almost kind of a novelty to itself. Let's throw a little bit more in there, though. See, the pulp darkens it a little bit. It is not pink, though, or light purple as the pods tend to be. So I'm not clear on why they chose the Pink Panther as a name for the sauce, but in any event, let's get on with it. So the heat is fairly mild. It's probably about a 1. If you're familiar with Louisiana style and Cajun sauces, you know that the heat fluctuates all over the place. This is about in the middle. I've had hotter of that style, and I've had much less hot than this as well. This has a lot of really subtle notes to it, though. Every time I have it, it reminds me of like homemade pickles, like something homemade pickled, like pickle juice, that sort of thing. And I don't know that there's a lot of pickle spice in there. Definitely, if there is, it's not on the ingredients, but I think that's just a characteristic of the peppers themselves. It just adds a really interesting dynamic, but it's somewhat subtle. Like, this is not a very forceful tasting sauce. It is the peppers themselves, as they obviously are, there's quite a few of them in there, a lot of the pulp and so on. They're definitely a lot more subtle in terms of the flavor of the pod itself, which I think is really, really, really interesting. But the one, I guess, kind of drawback to that is that it doesn't read through always super well. So I've got here some chicken tendies. I've tried it on some cream style dishes, and it just, unfortunately, it gets lost. I like the flavor of it. It's interesting. It's unique. It's not as good as I would say cayenne is for that. Certainly to my preference. I mean, it has almost a diminished flavor, like it's a slightly watery version of that almost, if that makes sense. I definitely like the uniqueness of this sauce, but I'm almost considering adding it to the pantheon of other sauces I have that I use more strictly as vinegars. So yeah, well, a lot of the flavor intricacies and subtleties are gone. I definitely am getting vinegar though. There's a small back end degree of heat to it as well. We'll throw a little more on there. I am very curious as to what this will be like. In a with wings. So this will definitely be going in the next wing thing, because I'm super, super curious. But I've double sauced both of these just to try to get more of a feel for it. It's very interesting. Despite me likening it to pickles, it's not overly sour, like at all. It's actually kind of nice. It's kind of like one of those sauces that are a little bit difficult to pin down. And because of that, it sort of moves closer to that category of sauce that I say I've described before as interesting more than good. And this one definitely is more interesting than I would say it's good. And by no means is it bad. I quite like the flavor. It just, like on these, we get some sort of odd flavor cancellation. And all the sort of unique attributes are just kind of canceled out, you know? I can see where this would be really nice on like a pulled chicken or pulled pork, that sort of thing. The reason I choose the majority of sauces I have I pair with chicken strips. And the reason for that is that they are very neutral. It's not that I love them. It's just that they're neutral. They make a great base to compare sauces against. But even in the case of this food, which is very neutral, we're still getting a lot of flavor cancellation. And it's sort of those subtleties that kind of vanish. So you get left with a little bit of heat and just a very, very prominent, very slightly peppery vinegar flavor. Same thing happened with mac and cheese and some other cream stuff I tried this on. So I am definitely going to attempt it in the Q2 wing thing for sure, because I am very curious to see how it's going to function there. But after that, I probably am going to use it, as like a vinegar to make things like coleslaw or the quinoa salad I made before. You can check out the recipe for that. And I make it in another video. I think I used a hog's ass sauce for that because it was very garlic forward. I think this would be fascinating there. The garlic will get a chance a little bit more to stand out, but depending on what flavor of vinegar you use, like you can get some very different aspects, in coleslaw, because coleslaw is, I think, a decent base for that. You're not really adding a whole lot of stuff. I mean, you are, but it's all fairly neutral stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But this is a very novel sort of sauce, very interesting. I like it by itself almost more than I like it on food, which is kind of weird. But that's kind of where we're at. So rotisserie chicken, I think things that don't have a lot of other flavorings, so that this can be basically the standout all by itself. I think that's where this one is working best for me so far. But I always like trying sauces with new to me peppers. I've never had the Buena Mulata before, or to my knowledge, the purple sweet heirloom. And it's kind of cool, just sort of noting. I'm very familiar with the arena this sauce kind of resides in. It's very intriguing to me to kind of compare and contrast and say, oh, okay, so here's where this one is kind of radically different. And the idea that it sort of references a lot of those sort of home canning pickle juices and just that sort of aspect to me anyway, I think is kind of wild. So this one has been a lot, and like I've used half of it playing around with it. I certainly do find it enjoyable. It's just, like I said, it's proving to be a bit challenging as far as trying to pair it with a food so that it continues to read through and I can pick up some of that other stuff. And other than that, though, it is quite nice. And like I said, it's probably right in the middle of the pack as far as heat if you compare it to like a Louisiana-style Cayenne or a Cajun. And of course, I am all about the spirit of experimentalism. And we'll just leave it right there. So that was the Laurel Urban Farms Pink Panther Hot Sauce. Daggerful, in peace, to serve the flame.